I love change. I embrace change with a passion. I actually don't do well when it is status quo. It's easier for me to dive down because I need to understand what's working, what's not working to be able to bring that change. And because you scale down and understand at the platform level, at the architecture level, no matter how large the company is, it wasn't that different when you go to a smaller company because you're still driving down and understanding at depth how we are building our platforms and what the core is. I think the companies that can take advantage of Gen AI are the ones that have been investing in responsible AI for a while. Like, you need to have set the governance, you need to have set up the model in a way that you know how to test it, you know how to protect yourself, you know how to secure yourself and validate that there's no bias in your data. Like, it's only as good as the data you feed it. So you need to have built that responsible engine to be able to move fast with Gen AI. I know that the browser security space is going to be an imminent issue. That idea was what also enthralled me. I'm like, someone's got to solve this, and I'm so glad SquareX is right there.
Hi, Rathi. Welcome to Be Fearless podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us.
Very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'd love to introduce you to our listeners. So Rathi's journey has been so long and so incredible. I'm so excited for this conversation. Right now, you're a CTO at Varo Bank. It's actually first fully digital, nationally chartered bank in the United States. Very exciting space. Your career spans across Verizon, Gap, Expedia Group, where you served as CTO and drove large-scale digital transformation. And beyond executive roles, you also board member at PagerDuty and an angel investor, vocal advocate for women in tech. I just cannot list all the roles that you're working on. It's super exciting. And also, I don't want to say it on the side, but you're also an art of living instructor.
Yes.
Which I'm super excited to hear what exactly it is and what you do there. And maybe we can just kick things off from learning how you ended up where you are today. You started as software engineer and then you turned to becoming a CTO at some of the biggest brands out there. So where did this journey start?
Actually, I started as a software engineer, graduated from school, got hired. And I would say my journey began with my quest of loving to solve complex problems. So the choices I made always was something that had not yet been discovered or something that had a significant impact to users' lives. So I started my journey at Informix, which was an object-oriented database, the first of its kind at that time. So it was different, it was unique, it was a game changer. And I say that mostly because many of my choices have always been because I was intrigued by being part of a change. From there, I went to JavaSoft. I was part of the JDK 1.0. I was fascinated by the new language, fascinated by a journey where people could throw software outside and the world could test for you. It had never been done. I wanted to be working close to James Gosling, the father of Java. And I think that passion has continued and evolved. I always had this question of understanding the why and the how in engineering. And that's what led me into more leadership positions, because I wanted to understand not just writing the code, but why we were doing this, how this could impact the world, how it could change users' lives. And I would say there were many pivotal points in my journey, and a lot of it also had to do with having strong sponsors, strong mentors, people who championed me, people who pushed me. But few key pivotal points in my journey. One was when I was part of a early stage startup doing price optimization. I think there I learned that I couldn't be an expert at everything. I basically led everything except marketing. So everything from product and engineering to customer support to documentation. At that time, it was enterprise software that you actually released software to customers. So I did everything from the data center to, and I wasn't an expert at everything. So there I learned how to take advantage and leverage everybody else's skills and bring a team together to solve a complex problem. I would say I was also part at Yahoo, a high stakes do or die project. Like it was a turnaround. We were late to the market for open social, and I was leading the open social platform. And that's where I learned my passion in leading and driving large digital transformations. I also learned how to connect out the solutions to business outcomes. And from there, I did larger and larger digital transformations, helping different domains and different enterprises get faster, cheaper, smarter, better in many ways, or consolidation of large platforms. But every step of the journey at American Express, I would say I learned how to really scale my leadership. I led larger teams. That was the first time I was leading teams of over 3,000 people. I also had an opportunity to be part of their accelerated leadership development, which is a very prestigious forum. They sent us to Duke for 9 months, and the officers of the company actually led us and trained us to be the next officers. And so that grew my leadership skills in a significant way, gave me that confidence, gave me that maturity as a leader. At Gap, leading that omni-channel personalized experience taught me to put customers first. At Expedia, I think the scale was massive, really converging 21 different platforms to a single platform, building a common loyalty to earn and burn across, really driving innovation while we were re-platforming, driving and bringing Gen AI to our users while we were re-platforming. That taught me to lead at scale with nimbleness and innovation in a manner that I hadn't done before. And now at Varo Bank, I'm super excited to take this startup to the finish line. Yeah. It's also a mission that's very close to my heart. Much of what I did was always to change lives of people, make travel more fun, make shopping easier, bring media to immersive experiences to our consumers. And at Varo, we now have an opportunity to bring financial inclusion to all Americans, especially those who are living paycheck to paycheck.
This is such a fascinating journey. And I think I asked this question when we were off camera, but I think it's so fascinating to go through that scale of change. You started from smaller organizations to bigger, now you're back to smaller. I'm just thinking, what kind of qualities you think someone should adopt to be able to go through all of these changes and stay successful? Because I believe you have to be very careful the way you adapt yourself depending whatever environment you are. So what kind of qualities you think you learned, and what kind of skills that you have to possess?
In my journey, I have had a curiosity to move domain to domain and lead this large-scale digital transformation. But the curiosity to learn different domains, the curiosity to learn different cultures, what is common and what is not common between domains as far as technology is concerned. For example, in fintech, the governance, the regulatory, the compliance is different. For healthcare, the HIPAA compliance is different. But at scale, the platform and unification of platforms and driving efficiencies and bringing teams together, a lot of that is a common run book or playbook. Keeping production up and running, getting faster, cheaper, smarter, better is common to a large extent. But I would say one skill to keep and maintain is that curiosity and an interest in learning different cultures, different environments, different regulatory needs, and see how you can adapt to that effectively. I'd say the second piece is I love change. I embrace change with a passion. I actually don't do well when it is status quo. It's easier for me to dive down because I need to understand what's working, what's not working to be able to bring that change. And because you scale down and understand at the platform level, at the architecture level, no matter how large the company is, it wasn't that different when you go to a smaller company because you're still driving down and understanding at depth how we are building our platforms and what the core is. Yes, the scale of getting your message out for 15,000 people, 50 countries may be reduced. You still need to keep that clarity of your messaging to the teams. You still need to have clarity in your strategy connected to the mission, allowing teams to work at that pace. So there's a lot more in common than not. It's a skill to be learned if you do want to work in large organizations.
Yeah, definitely. You really, really have to having this agile mindset.
Yes.
Whatever place you going to. But for you personally, what was more fun? Was it working at the startup level or the larger level? Because it's very, very different. What excited you most?
It's a very interesting question. I love driving impact. And I think both places have a significant impact, but a different impact. I've loved working for large enterprises. I think the challenge is massive because you have to really plan out how to scale your ideas and drive that inclusion across such a large, diverse, distributed team, bringing those ideas to bear, taking your ideas and making sure it's democratized and implemented across countries and across teams is very challenging. And when you're able to do that, that is super exciting. But at a startup, the pace of innovation and the pace of being able to move forward, truly combat this extraordinarily challenging macro we deal with is also super exciting. Today, look, I think I was enjoying going from smaller to bigger and bigger and bigger enterprise, large scale transformations. But at some point, you're like, I don't think there's any bigger. Now, especially with AI and what Gen AI can do, which democratizes intelligence and changes the pace at which you can operate and changes the scale you need to operate, I think I'm loving a startup.
That's super exciting. And I love how you touched the topic of Gen AI and how whether you're a small or bigger organization, a lot of organizations start to adopt.
Right.
I don't want to say scale down the resources.
I think you can scale efficiently now without having to have as many people.
Exactly. So in your personal experience, as more banks start to operate digitally, what unique security challenges does that model present compared to traditional institutions?
I think all of us in general have been leading security across so many different verticals. And look, for me, as a CTO, I always say we have to be a security first company, no matter what. Because when you're breached, I think it's game over. It doesn't matter what you're rolling out. So security must come first. And you build and you design for security across the board. And over this journey, and this is how I actually got attracted to SquareX like a year ago, was I have found that we all have become smarter at endpoint security, right? Like we've learned zero trust networks, we have learned to secure our endpoints. Even though that keeps changing, the threat surface and the way we get attacked keeps changing, we've at least learned with the red teams and how pen testing and knowing how to protect our boundaries or peripherals. But what changed, I think, during COVID or 2020 was with this whole hybrid notion. My experience was people started to share your laptops, like many times homeschooling.
Yeah.
Kids are using your laptop, we're accessing different sites, we're downloading different software. Now your threat surface has come to your browser more than you could imagine. And thirdly, I would say with Gen AI and ChatGPT or Gemini, or actually anything these days, right? You're copying code to the browser and asking questions. And so this is really with different devices, different browsers, it has skyrocketed your threat surfaces across the universe. So for us and a bank and regulatory, of course, there's a high alert security across fraud, across risk, across all of the normal threat. But I also pay attention to people and the risk we have by making sure we can protect our browsers, protect our users, protect our data, make sure we have less of the cross-site scripting. We have less downloads and browser extensions. We are monitoring the activity of our users. We are understanding user devices better than we ever did before. So all this becomes super, super critical, especially whether you're a bank or otherwise.
Yeah, and I also would love to mention that you contributed to our latest book. The Browser Security Field Manual, which is about how browser is one of the least secure applications in modern security. So how has this shaped your security strategy, and how do you think it might influence the security strategy of other companies? Because some people, I think, still interpret it as an emerging area. What is your take on this?
No, like I mentioned, I think it is high time that it moves from the peripherals to the core part of testing for all the reasons I just mentioned. There's been so many case studies, like we have seen in the industry where someone downloaded an extension, the hackers were able to get control of your GitLab and your code, and then you are completely attacked, right? Or they get access through phishing, and that one user can now exploit the entire, both the intranet as well as everything else you own. There have been plenty of live examples. So I don't think it is a choice for us to assume it can stay in the peripherals. It is part of the core, protecting, educating our users, protecting our browsers, understanding how we can flag what code is being put out, what code is being plugged in, understanding how to flag when we are downloading extensions. All this is just the way you secure your network. I think we need to secure our browsers.
And when it comes to Gen AI, right, how do you see organizations in general start to respond to adoption of generative AI tools? Because this is a bit of a double-edged sword, right? A lot of people are super excited about this technology, but at the same time thinking, okay, how do we adopt it safely?
It's funny. I think 6 months ago, if you asked me the question, everybody was experimenting. Like we were one of the first that actually plugged into ChatGPT at Expedia to start creating this experience where a traveler can start searching, where's the best time to ski in March, and go straight into your booking experience.
I love that.
So people were experimenting, wonder what is Gen AI, cool. And maybe Gen AI can answer questions. Let's test it out. And I was talking to somebody recently and they said, it feels like this wave will go slow, slow, and then suddenly, take off, which I'm starting to see. Now more and more engineers are looking at tools like Gemini and Claude and relying on them to do the basic coding. And you go to just review the code, validate the code, and make that happen. So it has already moved from I'm testing you out to I'm relying on you in a large way. Many of us started with the concept of maybe it can help us with productivity, maybe it can help us with testing. I think now it's come into the mainstream of the way we do our everyday to-day operations across the board.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think so many people that I speak to today, they say, I cannot imagine a single day where I don't go and ask ChatGPT Perplexity.
I do that.
Yeah.
Even now, generating documentation, right? Or writing anything, one pager, it takes you a few minutes.
Yeah.
What would take us an hour? You just have to give your basic points and say, elaborate. And it does the hard work for you.
Yeah, does the hard work for you, helps explain very difficult concepts.
Correct.
Like you're 12 or something.
Yeah, and as people like me who feel like English is not my first language, but I don't know which language is, it's like, oh, can you make sure it's correct? And it does everything for you. So it's, I think, wonderful. And my perception is those who don't take advantage of Gen AI will be left behind.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing that comes to mind is how do you do it in a secure manner?
Yes, I think 100% right. I think the companies that can take advantage of Gen AI are the ones that have been investing in responsible AI for a while. Like, you need to have set the governance. You need to have set up the model in a way that you know how to test it. You know how to protect yourself. You know how to secure yourself and validate that there's no bias in your data. Like, it's only as good as the data you feed it. So you need to have built that responsible engine to be able to move fast with Gen AI.
Yeah. Do you see the security field being able to respond fast enough to the adoption of AI tools? Because I feel like the acceleration that we see right now with all the generative AI tools is so fast that there is a question of security. Like, does it go as fast or?
I think it has to. And I think the companies that are starting to think about many different ways of driving security, cognitive, and all these other different ways of addressing this will win in this market space. But it's moving so fast that I can't definitively say, will security catch up? But I do think security will win in this space.
Yeah, touch wood.
Yeah.
Touch wood. And what do you think? You're someone that worked across travel, retail, financial services. What was the biggest security challenge you had to tackle?
I actually think, look, at every step of the way, security has been evolving. It's never been that security has had a standstill moment over the last couple decades. Like, there was this whole journey with privacy taking over, with data privacy and all the security. Like, over the last decade, I think that became a big thing, right? But now, after COVID, I think the security surface has exploded. I cannot tell you which is the biggest challenge. It's all been exponentially getting harder, no matter which vertical I was in. I will tell you, for non-tech companies, whether it is American Express, Gap, Expedia, the challenge has been that you inherit a ton of legacy. And so with a large amount of legacy infrastructure, your threats are much, much higher. Systems are outdated. You have mainframe systems sitting somewhere. Updating those that are not necessarily on the cloud becomes harder. You have tons of third-party integrations. Managing those is very complex. Prioritizing tech debt while you're driving innovation becomes a challenge. So yes, I would say that has been very challenging. At Varo, we were built digitally. We were built for the cloud. We are cloud native to start with. I think in many companies have evolved in that direction. However, the explosion of all your devices and browsers and different threat surfaces and attacks has still kept the landscape complicated.
I think the trend that I see throughout your journey, as you rightfully mentioned, it's being able to digitally transform fast enough from legacy to cloud to browser. And it's just a matter of time and how fast you can do this transformation to be able to handle all the threats.
And how do you transform? How do you innovate the next gen? How do you educate the people to come up to speed there while you're still keeping your business running on the legacy?
Yeah, that's a good point. So when it comes from user adoption, did you face many challenges? Because I feel like there must be a certain level of resistance coming from the end user, or you think it's getting gradually easier over time?
When you say end user, it's like the employees or
employees?
That's a whole part of leadership, is how do you bring the employees along into the why and the how, like grounding them on our mission and why we are transforming. What does it do to help the business and help them? Why today with Gen AI, I mean, that's a huge shift. There is a lot of insecurity. Will it take over certain coding jobs? But those who don't adopt it will be left behind. And then teaching them how it helps them evolve in their skills and not just eliminate their roles, but allows them to do bigger things faster and help them grow and help them stay up to speed with the trends in the marketplace will allow you to go adopt this new technology. So I think part of our journey as leaders is to bring them along with the why and how to get there and support them in that journey.
Yeah, and I can imagine that with each year, the frequency of this explanation is
constant. Right?
It's constant.
And I think now it's going to be even more exponential in changes. Because if you see the amount of innovation that Gen AI is supporting, I think it's going to be extraordinarily exponential.
Yeah, it's exciting and at the same time
a little intimidating.
Intimidating and disruptive time.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is really when you can see who is able to adapt fast enough and who isn't.
I know. And, we used to always say you need a growth mindset.
Yeah.
I think more now than ever.
Yeah. Which beautifully leads me to the question of your certified art of living instructor.
Yes.
How does it link to what you do, like is your full time, and then this is something that you also do? How did this whole initiative start, and what is it exactly?
I tell you, my journey started when I was actually at that startup in 2002. I was going through as you remember, we went through the .com bust.
Yeah.
Again, it was a huge transformative journey for the world, and the internet had just come up, and there was another big bust. And I was part of a startup. And in a startup, you bring all of your close friends who have trusted you and want to work with you. And I had to lay off 50% of the company at that time. And I was emotionally going through a very difficult time because I knew people had come for me and trusting me. And I felt I was going through this challenge of I'm letting them down. And at that, somebody told me, oh, have you heard of Art of Living? And they teach you breathing techniques, and it will really help calm down your mind. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I already know how to breathe. But I just signed up because, I was anyway not feeling great. And that changed my life. I refer to it as flushing my cache every day as a technologist. I wake up, I breathe, it's rhythmic breathing, which helps really calm your mind. And for me, it is flushing my cache because it is starting my day fresh every day, taking off the bias of the past, your anger or grudges or nervousness from the past, and bringing you to the present. Everyone says, like, live in the present moment, but that's not very easy. But you can only breathe in the present moment. So that breath work helps me stay in the present moment. That helps me tremendously as a leader, because as a leader, you're changing context so frequently. I'm sometimes on stage speaking. Next moment, we're in a deep architectural review. The next moment, you're talking to an employee one-on-one. And your mind has to be able to adapt to these changes and be present for that moment. And I think Art of Living has truly helped me. So because it has helped me, I felt it is an opportunity for me to also share that with others. And that's when I became a teacher in 2012. And I would say that for many of the companies I've been at, we've learned Art of Living at a leadership level. And many times it really helps all of us take a pause, drop the bias, drop the politics, and really communicate with each other more at a calm level of the mind versus being all angst up over something else.
Yeah, and security can be such a stressful field. It is such a stressful field.
It is true.
Yeah, so you really have to, so let's say someone that works in cybersecurity, a CISO, comes to you and says, hey, I want to learn the art of living. What are, let's say, steps that you do throughout the day that they can start to adopt to their everyday life to be more grounded in whatever they do?
Yeah, first, that's a course. It's a 9-hour course, which I encourage people to come and take. But even at work, I tell people, like, sometimes it is really important to just take a pause. Just pause, close your eyes for 1 minute and observe your breath. You will be surprised how much that does to you, especially when you're in a moment of my life is crumbling. There's been an attack or something that is horrible that you never really wanted to happen has happened. Instead of jumping at it, actually pause for a second. And you'll find that you get more solutions than panic. You respond to the situation versus reacting to the situation. So just taking a breath. If you can meditate once a day, there's hundreds of guided meditations available these days. It does wonders, just helping the mind slow down to go fast.
It just made me think of that CrowdStrike incident, how much of the stress spike must have happened during that time.
There's so many that actually when that happened, I was traveling and Delta and all the airlines had come down and it was chaos in the airports. Like nobody knew their gates. Everything was down and people were so upset and angry. What are you going to do? So I was one of the few people who was like, great, I'll just close my eyes and meditate now. I mean, screaming and shouting was not really solving anything. So I think it's an excellent tool to keep in everyone's back pocket to just live.
And I think it's incredible to see because even as I go through LinkedIn feed, I see so many cyber leaders starting to become more vocal about these issues, because before it used to be a badge of honor of like being constantly stressed.
And now it is actually not. Mental wellness is a badge of honor.
That is true. It's amazing to see this like big transformation in this space. You're also a board member at PagerDuty, an angel investor. What trends in enterprise technology are you most excited about?
Like I said, AI is something that I had considered retiring 6 months ago, but
thank God you didn't.
And then I truly am excited about what AI can do across many different verticals. Healthcare, fintech, in the security space.
Yeah.
I think there's a ton of transformation that's going to come, and I want to be part of it. So I'm very excited to see what's coming. And I don't think I can even predict what's coming, because every day there's so much happening with the robotic space, robotic automation across the board, especially transforming B2B. B2C, there's like a million things. Just today, we were talking about the time it takes from writing a wireframe to code in production. Has simplified in a way that you could not even imagine. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about the event intelligence, our ability to do event intelligence and become very predictive and proactive in the way we manage production and enterprise systems. PagerDuty has been making leaps and bounds in that space with AI ops and cloud ops, etc. But I think that space is exploding into so many parts of technology.
Yeah, I think definitely barriers to entry drastically dropped. Yeah, but at the same time the competitive landscape just became so massive.
It is, and you wonder when that consolidation is going to happen.
Yeah, I think sooner or later consolidation definitely is going to take place, because it's impossible to imagine.
That's true.
Yeah,
I think selection has become extremely difficult, because there's hundreds of players in every little thing.
Yeah. No, this is a great point, because this is really when branding still plays such an important role.
Branding and your network.
Yeah, definitely. What did you see to be the greatest strength for certain companies that emerge in the field to stand out across the competition, that you thought, okay, this is really something I want to pay attention to?
There's your brand, like the leadership team's brand. Can I trust them? Do they have a pedigree that shows that they have grit and the ability to take something forward and push it through? Because you're going to have to be resilient through your journey to actually win across all the hundreds of players who surround you. I think that is number one. Like, can I trust this leadership team? Do they know not just know their competency, their space, but do they have a good reputation and network that will take them to the next level? And I think there's something about your product, your idea. When I met with Vivek the first time, I was like, this is brilliant. I know that the browser security space is going to be an imminent issue. That idea was what also enthralled me. I'm like, someone's got to solve this. And I'm so glad SquareX is right there.
Yeah, I agree. I think for a lot of people that are joining emerging fields, it's so important to be surrounded with the right leaders.
Correct.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you want to
work for them.
You want to work for them. You want to follow them, and just get yourself to the next stage of development and just really ride the wave of all the adoption.
Correct.
Yeah, and I want to talk more about women in tech and leadership. You've reached the C-level at multiple Fortune 500 companies. In industry where women are underrepresented in leadership, what was the biggest barrier you had to overcome, and how did you navigate it?
I think I would say three things. The first one is finding my voice. Many times I would be the only woman around the table, making sure that I could find my voice to express sometimes a very different opinion than everybody else's around the table, and still being able to state my point of view with that confidence was very, very important. And second is having confidence, being confident about my ability to participate and win in that environment. I'm not great, and this is cultural for me. I always found it really difficult to talk about myself. I still find it difficult, but it didn't come culturally for me to say, oh, I'm so amazing. Yeah. I'm great at these things. It's just not natural. But I had to find a way to showcase my work and find a way to influence my stakeholders without feeling awkward. And I found that path by being able to praise others. So I love praising others. So I praised my team and I showcased the work my team did. And inadvertently, that did showcase my work as a leader. So finding your voice and being confident and having the ability to influence your stakeholders and build that network, I would say, are the three things that help us set ourselves apart.
I think somebody mentioned this to me, that the mark of a great leader is how many other great leaders they're able to create along the way.
That's lovely. Yes.
Yeah. And I guess what's something that women have to go through each time is, I think a lot of women think that they have to overqualify it.
Oh, this is a huge problem. I always say that, like when someone asks you, so many of the jobs I told you, I said, I didn't know everything. I relied on the skills and talent of the team, and my ability to bring that team together to execute was what made me the leader. But you don't need to be a master at everything to lead that. And many times we get stuck with that. We need to know 150% to call ourselves an expert. And usually our male counterparts are very comfortable calling themselves an expert with 40%. And so we lose the battle there. I always tell other women, have a confidant. It goes a long way. Build your mentor or sponsor, someone you can confide in. So when you get an opportunity and you're nervous as hell, go tell that person, I don't know. I'm scared of all these things. Do you think I can do it? But once you're done with that, march forward with confidence.
Yeah. So right now, let's say someone comes to you and asks, hey, I'm thinking of entering this tech space. What kind of advice would you give to that person, a woman that is considering but thinking, is it the right time? Is it the wrong time? What kind of skills you advise them to develop?
A growth mindset. Everything is changing. I don't think anything you learn in school is going to stay consistent. So be ready to learn every day from everyone, like the youngsters as well as the people who have had a tenure and domain knowledge, and then form your own opinion. Right? That is, I think, the most important. Second is jump with both your feet in. Don't stay with one foot out the door, trying to see if you can totally understand the space and understand the risk you're taking and step in. There's no time for that. Step in with both feet. Be ready to take risk. I think women struggle with taking risk. We are always afraid of failure, and I say there's no failure. Failure is just a new learning to get better. And if you didn't fail, you didn't try hard enough. So step in with both feet. There's nothing to lose. No one is an expert today, and everyone's an expert today. And so it is a good moment for us to jump in.
Yeah, it's definitely a good moment to try, especially as it becomes exponentially easier to try new things.
I think intelligence has been democratized at this point. So we're all equal.
Yeah, I agree with this point. What is the most important advice you'd give to women entering technology leadership roles? Let's say someone that is mid-level and they're thinking, okay, I want to become a leader. what's one advice can you give to that person?
I say authenticity really trumps authority. So stay authentic to yourself. Many a time we feel like we need to be exactly like the person who was in this position before us, and you lose your power. Be true to who you are. Bring your superpower to life by staying true to yourself. Because Rathi cannot be another Sasha, but I can bring my best self, my authentic self, and lead the team better than anyone else can, because I know me and my strengths and can surround myself with people who will support me well.
Yeah. Do you have a specific example when you were like, okay, it helped to be Rathi?
I'll tell you a funny story, and I'll keep the company name out of this. But the first time I became a senior VP, actually, the company put us through training. We actually went through 6 weeks of coaching of how to be an SVP.
Yeah.
How to walk, how to talk, how to sit, how to stand, how we had a personal stylist, we had someone put makeup, and it was funny because I think they tried to make me the typical American white SVP, and I was not. Right? I tried. I went through the training, I went through the coaching, went through the stylist, and at one point, my boss, who I've actually worked with for 3 different companies, he looked at me and he said, "Can I get back the Rathi I know?" Because this is so hard. And that was really funny. And it was an awakening moment because somewhere in that journey, I lost me. I lost my ability to be approachable, to be like that girl next door, the person who knew what was happening and anyone could talk about anything. And I was simple. And that was my superpower.
Yeah. Yeah. This is such a great story because I think eventually, as we all grow in our own roles, you want to get to that point where, okay, I became a senior leader, I hold so many skills, but then at what point do you need to stop and think, this is not really me?
Yeah.
It's very incredible to learn what kind of personal transformations you have to go through as you mature. Yeah. So Rathi, we have this little tradition on our podcast where typically our previous guest would ask a question to the next guest. And our previous guest asked, what was the last show you binge watched? Bonus point, did it make you think differently about tech or security?
Ooh. I've been at a startup for the last 3 months and I haven't binge watched anything. This was an Indian-ish show which I just saw because I was traveling. It was called on Netflix Fame Game.
Okay.
And it was interesting because it is all the things an actress would do just to maintain her fame and popularity. It was an 8 series, not that much binge watch, but I saw all 8.
Yeah.
And it did make me think about leadership, and it did make me think the things people do to sustain their power.
Yeah.
And it has always been very important to me that you stay core to who you are. Yeah. You stay core to your ethics. You don't cross the boundaries that don't make sense for you. And power is not important. Impact is important. So you get as far as what you can impact without doing things that crosses your own boundaries. Yeah. So it did make me think it didn't do anything with security.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be security, but I think it's beautifully linked, as you said, to leadership.
Yeah.
Because there are certain things as we going through so much.
Sometimes you get carried away by power, and that's not cool.
That is really not cool.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, I mean, we saw recent Coldplay example.
Yes.
Where
That wasn't cool.
That wasn't cool.
It was cold, but not cool.
Yeah. Where power can overtake and take away a lot of things from someone's career if you're not as careful.
Present, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What's one question would you like to ask to our next guest?
Interesting. If I had a magic wand and I could be anyone, who would I choose to be and why?
Wow. Such a deep, provoking question, especially for someone who is a leader and spent, 20 plus years where they are. And yeah. Well, I'm going to ask them this question and make sure to
Because I actually don't know that answer myself because, which leader would I choose? Or would I choose not a leader? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very different to imagine your journey from the very start and how different your life would end up if you weren't you as you are right now. Yeah. Well, Rathi,
Thank you, Sasha. This was fun.
This was so much fun. I learned so much, and I'm sure our audience is going to learn so much about you from where you started, scaling up, down, like so many steps, how to become woman leader that doesn't shy away from her expertise and is able to grow in this space, and just in general how not to lose yourself as you become a more thoughtful leader and help other people become better leaders out there. I love this.
Amazing.
I love
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.